Hi guys, Nick here from Gimme, and today we're going to be looking at the Titleist GT range. We're going to be looking at the driver, the fairway wood, and the hybrid in the GT3 Series. So this one sits middle of the pack, certainly slightly lower spin, slightly more compact heads in the fairway wood and the hybrid. Designed looking at a certain type of player, or somebody certainly looking to try and bring launch and spin down, gain movability within the Titleist range. I'm going to hit some shots. I'm going to talk about the look, going to talk about the feel, going to talk about the movability, what these drivers, what these fairways, what these hybrids are now capable of. We're going to get into it, stay with me. Okay guys, so I've got the GT range here. GT stands for Generational Technology. The Titleist range now has been fantastic for the last couple of years now. I'd say probably last 4 or 5 years it's been extremely strong. The driver certainly has been one of the most played drivers on the tour, and you still see a lot of these now, even the previous models used by the top guys in the world right now. But Titleist are saying that they've created a new technology here, and certainly in the driver in terms of the crown, that's able to save them some mass, save them some discretionary weight, as they would say. PMP, it's a different property that they've brought to the crown here. Because of that, they've saved weight, which they can move around the head. They've said they've made it more stable, they've made it quicker. We're going to test that out today. We're going to have a little look at it. I did a video earlier on where I tested one of the previous models, the TSI versus the GT, and the GT did come out on top in terms of playability around the head, dispersion, ball speed was up as well. So certainly the driver, and go and check that video out, that definitely proved that the driver is a step forwards over the previous models, but we're also going to be looking at the fairway wood and the hybrid, which have changed in shape, changed in dynamic compared to the previous series. But what have they done? Well, they've changed what's under the hood, really. The main thing being the crown. They brought a new material to market. Mainly we've been dealing with titanium, and there's a lot of carbon fiber in the market right now that other brands are using. But Titleist wanted to try and retain the look, the feel, the sound that you expect from a quality product that is Titleist. And what that has done is it's lighter, stronger, and it's allowing them to use that weight that they've saved in there, because it's also lighter, as I mentioned, and they're using that weight around the head. So they've also changed where the center of gravity in this head is. They've moved it a little bit deeper, and they've also managed to move it a little bit further forwards. And what they're saying, this has enabled them to really optimize the spin numbers from model to model. So worth mentioning that the 3 sits in a lineup between the 1, which would be classed as the higher launching, higher spin model. Then you've got the 2, which is certainly more of a sort of mid-model in terms of the launch and the spin. And then you've got the 3, which for me is a more movable model, certainly in terms of the launch, the spin, the look of it. Slightly deeper head here in terms of the crown that you can see. And then you've also got the 4 model as well, which is more forward center of gravity, the lowest spin of the 4 models. You don't see as many of them even on tour as what you do on as the 3s, because it's very specific in terms of it's very, very low spin that, but covering the 3 today. CG forwards on this particular model, movable in terms of this track here, so you can make it a little bit more draw bias, a little bit more fade bias if you so wish. Right guys, I'm gonna hit 3 shots with the driver now. Just compare it to what I typically see from my own numbers and what you could expect to see depending on the dynamics that you bring to the table in terms of your golf swing. Shaft wise, I've just got one of their stock options in here, but it's pretty similar in terms of the balance and the weight to what I'd normally use, so it's not a million miles away. Okay guys, so I hit 3 drives there. First one and the last one, the third one, I definitely got a hold of. They were good swings by myself, and the data will be pretty comparable to what I'd usually like to see with my own model that I've got in play right now in the bag. Second one, interesting enough, wasn't a good strike, but finished, as you can see, pretty central on the line. Dropped a little bit of carry distance, but I guess that really talks about the playability of this head as well. So just like Titleist was describing there, this is aimed at somebody who's trying to sort of bring launch and spin down, up movability in terms of being able to draw and fade this particular driver as well. But they've also said they've made it more forgiving and more playable for more of the mass market. I think that's really interesting, and I guess that second drive really proved that there. A little bit low in toe, but it stayed on line, dropped a little bit of ball speed, dropped a little bit of carry distance, but didn't get me into any trouble. And that's exactly what I'm looking for, is a driver that optimizes my best swings, but still gives me something to play with when I don't quite put a good swing on it like I did in that second one there. Feels absolutely fantastic. Looks great down by the golf ball. It sits square to slightly open, I would say, as a driver head. So if you're somebody where you don't like that sort of open face look to a driver, then it's probably not the model for you. In the A1 setting, which is their standard setting, I would say, you know, having fitted with the Titleist series before, they're very dynamic in terms of this short fit sleeve that they've got here. You can really influence face angle, lie angle, and obviously loft as well. And what that allows you to do is really fine tune the driver, the look of the driver, and also the flight of the driver to the golfer that you're fitting as well. So I always enjoyed working with the Titleist drivers. It always made them very dynamic in terms of in the fitting bay. For me personally, I don't mind looking down at that A1 setting. It was no problem at all. I always like the driver face to look square to slightly open personally for me. In terms of the weighting, I just had that in the standard setting there in N neutral at the bottom of the sole there. You can move that weight into a more draw or fade bias position, and you know, if I was struggling with a particular miss at one time or another, I might decide to do that. Personally, I've always decided to try and keep the mass behind where the golfer strikes the driver predominantly. So if somebody was coming into the fitting bay and they were a toe striker or heel striker, I'd try and move that mass underneath where that predominant strike position is. Mine tends to be, if anything, slightly toe side, so I might move it into that sort of T1 position over time. But right there, if I was fitting it, I'd be quite happy with the numbers. I say the shaft isn't a million miles away from what I play anyway, so great driver. Definitely something that, you know, I think if you're looking at, if you're in the market for a new driver right now, you've got to consider that. Okay, so on to the GT3 fairway wood. So this is definitely a more compact looking head. And again, this is really designed at the golfer who's probably going to use this off the tee and off the floor, I would say as well, off the fairway. It's for somebody who's really trying to optimize launch and spin. Again, having worked with sort of the GT2 and the new GT1, they're setting these shallower heads and now give you that look that you can definitely launch and spin it a little bit more off the fairway. This is definitely for somebody who wants to use it in a variety of different positions, as I mentioned earlier on. Definitely more compact. Again, crown's very sort of clean looking, so definitely something I can personally game here. And if you've been a fan of previous Titleist models, they really haven't moved away from what they've done very well in the past as well. Again, I've got a relatively stock option shaft in here, but not a million miles away from what I typically play. Gonna hit a few, give you a bit of an opinion on it, see how it goes. Okay guys, so I hit 3 there with a fairway wood, and yeah, 3 nice strikes. Data was really strong on them. Actually surprised myself a little bit there with some of the carry numbers that I was providing with it. Great launch, great spin characteristics for off the deck. And for me, predominantly, that's probably where I'm going to be using the fairway wood as a stronger driver of the golf ball. I'm not always looking for fairway wood off the tee per se. Because I'm not the longest, there's still going to be some par 5s when I go play bigger golf courses I can't reach into. So I do still like to try and pull fairway wood and see if I can have a go at those greens in 2, certainly. So it's still a club that I'm going to hit off the deck from time to time. And as a head shape, for me personally, definitely compact down by the golf ball. You definitely have to feel more confident in your striking ability, I think, to play this as a model. But the pickup, especially of the GT compared to the previous models that I've hit in the Titleist, which sometimes could have been a little bit spinny from time to time. Definitely found that the launch was a little bit higher with this particular model and the spin was a fraction lower. And for me, that's exactly what I want from a fairway wood. So I don't currently have a Titleist in the bag, but this is certainly something I'll have to consider moving forwards as well. In the stock option shaft as well, absolutely fantastic piece of kit there. Again, back weight is movable. You've got your short fit sleeve there as well, so you could make the face, again, if you wanted to make it more draw bias, make it more fade bias, up the loft, you can take this down by around a degree, and you can also up it by a couple of degrees as well. So potentially you can make that a 14 degree driver there or thereabouts, and you can make it a 17 degree sort of forward in essence. So very, very dynamic wood as well. Definitely something on your list if you are in the market for a new fairway wood. Can't fault it really so far. Right guys, we'll just hit the fairway wood there, and the gapping so far has been really interesting. That's certainly something that you should be paying attention to. So if you're on the driving range, if you manage to get these golf clubs out and take them out for a little bit of a test, you should be looking at the gapping between these clubs, and they should gap pretty evenly. So now I've got the hybrid in here, and this would typically be the next logical gap down. This is the 19 degree. You might have a fairway wood in place of this at 5 woods, 7 wood. I did a video on that recently as well. Go and check that one out. But if you prefer to move into something like a hybrid, if you find that a little bit more dynamic, then you need to get that gapping right. So in terms of the actual head itself, this is what I'm really interested in. This is the most compact of the hybrid models that Titleist do. They've got the new GT1, which is certainly a bigger footprint, deeper center of gravity. Everything about that head is designed to give launch and spin and confidence to the golfer. Then you've got the 2. Definitely found when I've hit that one, in terms of the initial launch, a little bit lower, spins a little bit more, I would say. Then you've got the 3. This one is definitely a little bit more compact. And then spin number again is going to be a little bit more compact because, and we spoke about center of gravities before, smaller head, smaller footprint, so the center of gravity is closer towards the front of that head there, which means it's going to come out a little bit flatter, and that's what it should do. Worth mentioning with this particular head here, and hopefully you can see that on camera, I'll get some close-ups in a minute, but you've got movable weights here as well, and Titleist are saying this lineup of GT hybrids is their most dynamic to come to market yet. So they can make this very much draw and fade bias, and then of course you've got the sure fit sleeve, the 16 different settings on the sure fit sleeve, where you can also change face angle, lie angle, and loft as well. So very, very dynamic as a golf club, and because of that, it suits a whole variety of golfers. So this is the sort of hybrid I would typically be looking at. You know, I always want to hit something on a slightly flatter ball flight. So if I was going to go and pick one out of a golf shop, you know, I'd probably pull one of these out, I would say. Okay guys, there, so I hit 3 with the Titleist GT3 19 degree hybrid there. Logically, in terms of the gapping there, that should make sense in terms of what I'd be looking for my bag, but actually it was going a little bit too far, right? Which for you guys out there, if you're looking for a hybrid to give you some extra distance, this might be something that you have to definitely consider. Definitely noticed over the years that hybrids have become a little bit lower spin, and because of that, they definitely go a little bit further now than they ever did do. Very clean look, certainly on the compact side. If you're somebody who wants an overall forgiving hybrid, this might not be the one for you. Definitely appeals to somebody who's moving from maybe a driving iron into a hybrid model, and again, you know, you probably see more of these out on tour than you would do maybe some of the other models, the 2s and the 1s and the GT series. It's definitely aimed at your more accomplished golfer, no two ways about that. Having said that, if you're looking for something that's a little bit more compact in flight and spin, this is the model for you because it definitely produces that there, and I was really happy with the launch and the spin characteristics of those particular shots that I just hit there. For me personally, again, if you're looking for something that's easy to launch and spin off the deck, off the tee, I definitely look at the other 2 models that they've got. Certainly the GT1, definitely the GT2. They might be more up your street, I would say personally. But overall, very impressed with that again. Lovely product, great looking product, great feeling product. I think they smashed it out of the park. Okay guys, so just to summarise then, GT3 Series, driver, fairway wood, hybrid, all fantastic products. I would say definitely looking at the more accomplished golfer potentially, or somebody that definitely finds the middle of the face a little bit more with their strike pattern, and they're a bit more discerning in exactly what they want from their ball flight as well. If you want overall forgiveness, you know, you're probably looking further down the GT range, the GT1, the GT2. They're more forgiving footprints, slightly deeper center of gravity, slightly more higher MOI, moments of inertia, higher forgiveness model. So they'll definitely suit you a little bit better. But if you're somebody who's looking to try and maximize ball speed, launch, spin, somebody who can potentially move these around in terms of, you know, draws, fades, lower, higher, GT3 series might be right up your street there. Really impressed with all 3 products again. They look fantastic, they sound, they feel fantastic as well. Stay tuned for a few more reviews as well. Subscribe to the YouTube channel for me. Give the socials a follow. Look forward to seeing you all very soon.